Hey guys, welcome to the live. Hey Robert, hey Nicole, hey everyone. Looking forward to connecting with everyone. So I'm having a wonderful weekend. I hope you guys are doing the same. And hi Nancy, hi Tom. Awesome. And of course, we can welcome in. Well, first, let's take a minute to put everything outside of us. Okay. Hey, Jean. Hey Eva, hey Santa. It's like a party today. We're all here. So let's before we get into any questions, let's bring in our higher levels. Okay? So everything, everything has nothing to do with you. So everything on the outside, all of the perceptive problems, the issues, whatever. Even the body is outside of you. Okay, so let's put all of that outside of us and bring ourselves in. So by making the intention or commanding it to be, then so it is. So even if you don't feel your higher levels coming in, and for everyone it feels different because everyone's a unique being, okay? So it will come through differently for everyone. And then, of course, we can welcome in our entourages as well. Valnik says hello. So, and then he says, oh, so he already has a message. So let's bring in our entourages. So he says, I have a message, okay? And he's showing me planet Earth, and then he's showing me the moon, he's showing me different planets, okay? And he's he's circling planet Earth. He says this is where the party is, okay? He says keep hope. Everything is changing, and he says for the better, and he's underlining for the better. So even if it doesn't feel like it, see, the creator does not go backwards, we only go forwards. Okay, so even if the perception is that everyone is in their egos and there's all this death and destruction and whatnot, that's still from the limited perspective of the ego. Okay, so our higher levels, as ourselves and our entourage know, everything is only improving. See, we're just perfecting perfection. Everything is perfect as it is, and we're just perfecting it even more. So, hey everyone in the chat. Hi Nobi. Hi Jonelle. Hey Eva. Yeah, so if you have a question and you're in the chat, please place it in the chat because it's easier for me to get to, but some cannot make it to the live, so they put it on the Patreon homepage. So I'll start with the Patreon homepage. So let's start with some questions. Francis says, definitely moving in the right direction. Yeah, of course, and because there isn't a wrong direction. So that was a theme of one of our lives. And actually, if everything is going wrong, right, that's from the ego, there's a judgment there. And if everything is going wrong for the ego, then that means it's dying, which is good for you, right? So, hey, Audrea. Audrea says, thank you for being here every Sunday, helping us return to our hearts and get back in alignment with truth, love, and integrity. Thanks, Audrea. Awesome. So let's get to some questions. Valnek is making me laugh, so that's the way I can get some attention in the live, is by making me laugh. So he says, I love the sounds. Tony says, hi. Barbara says, hi, Megan and Valnek. How long before the illusions stop? Will it happen in our lifetime? Can you tell us which phase from the second book we are in? Thank you. Hey, Barbara. So Yeah, so because let me just tune into it because see, there is a, well, it depends on what illusions you're talking about. Okay, so let me explain. I'm going to go back a little bit because, see, everybody, this is a co creative reality. Okay, so the grass is green, we have trees, um, there's bodies, okay, male and female, there's tigers, animals, whatever. So it's a co-creative reality. So that those things are facts, okay? So we're all in agreement with stuff like that, okay? So or it's that's how it is. That's the reality, the co-creative reality that we are in together, okay? But the way that people perceive it, the filter that they're wearing, the masks that they put on, so the illusion of the ego that they buy into and put over their eyes, it's kind of like a blindfold. The way that they see it is different. Okay? So that's where what is true for one person that is different for the next person. Okay, so and meaning how they view the world. Okay, each way is a different unique way, each person has different filters. Okay, and what we're doing here is we're taking off all of those blindfolds so we can see everything as ourselves, okay, and not through the filter of the ego. That's what causes all of the pain and suffering, is the judgments, the beliefs that we're seeing through the ego. We're seeing the world and ourselves through all of those, yeah, that blindfold, and that's the prison we've created for ourselves. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're taking off all of those blindfolds and seeing everything for what it truly is. Okay, the truth from our higher levels, the divine truth. Okay, not the truth that comes from the mind or the ego. It's truth from ourselves. Okay, our higher levels, and each individual gets to choose how fast or how slow, or whether they want to take that blindfold off or not. So some people buy, actually everyone buys into illusions about themselves in this reality until they decide that's no longer serving me anymore, that's not true for me anymore, and I want to find out the truth. Okay, so if someone made a harsh judgment about themselves, maybe they can't swim. Okay, they believe they can't swim, but they as themselves would really enjoy swimming, and of course the body can swim, or they're afraid of swimming. We'll put it that way. Okay, until one day they feel into their heart and say, you know what, that's not true. I'm going to try it, or I'm going to take swimming lessons. And then they realize that they never were afraid to begin with, and that had nothing to do with them. Okay. Or, for example, every mom believes that their baby is the cutest baby on planet Earth. Okay. And it is true for that mom. Okay. But not for every mom. Do you see what I'm saying? So everybody gets to decide how fast or how slow they take the blinders off. Okay, so those are, when I talk about illusions, those are the ego. Okay. When I tune into you, so it's it's a so some of it, and yeah, let me know if I am reading this right, okay? But when I tune into you, it's mostly about okay, a lot about politics, okay? And because yeah, things are not exactly, well, there was an understanding, okay? Not necessarily anything me or Valnek said, but Yeah, kind of this idea created in the truther community. It's mass consciousness, okay? So that when Trump was elected, then everything is going to be fine, dandy, and all of the truth is going to come out, okay? So, and it is, okay? It is slowly coming out bit by bit, okay? But the thing is when people see, I started to tune into this a while back, okay? I started to realize through writing my books and my experiences and my contact with Valnek and being an internet personality, whatever that means, that people they don't see, they're seeing the truth through their own filters, okay? So even if you tell them the truth, it's still perceived through their level of consciousness, okay? And that's okay because their level of consciousness, their experience has nothing to do with you. So in other words, there's this belief, right, that everybody has to wake up, everybody has to know about Gitmo or the letter 17 or whatever, and then once everyone's awake, then we'll all be happy. Okay, everyone's at the same level of consciousness, so, and everyone's, it's all peace and love, and then we'll all be happy, we'll be in peace. Okay, and that is a part of the prison that humanity has created for themselves, okay, through the, that's actually the illusion of the ego needing the whole world to change so that you feel comfortable, you can be peaceful and happy. Can you see the ego in that? So of course, yes, everyone is opening up, everyone is ultimately taking those blindfolds up, opening their hearts, okay? And it is humanity, there are higher levels. We have decided to awaken, okay? How that looks like for the ego is a different story. But to need everyone to see things the way that you do so that you can feel comfortable, that is, well, why would that be necessary for the creator? And is it possible? So, so for everyone to, yeah, see things exactly the way that you do, it's not possible, right? Because you are your own unique being. Okay, so there's that. And also, why does it matter what others believe and perceive? Okay, how does that change who you are? And the answer is it doesn't change who you are, right? So people, their ego projections, they can say, do whatever they want. They can think whatever about Donald Trump, whatever about you, whatever about me. We can use me for an example. A lot of people think that I'm crazy. And I am. But it doesn't, the reason I'm laughing is because it's so fun, because it doesn't change who I am, okay? That's just their, it's really a judgment they've made about themselves. It has nothing to do with me. And that's actually, so knowing that, knowing who you are, that is mastery, okay? Not having the reality change around you, but knowing who you are. I am that I am. I am who I am, and nothing and no one can ever change that. I am eternal, and I create my own destiny, in a sense. I don't necessarily like those words, but I create my own destiny. And so nothing outside of me has any, doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change my experience of myself in this body, having fun in this realm. Okay. So it's never about, so we shared in, um, I'll let Valnut talk in just a second. He says, I have a message. I'll let him go first. Okay. So he's showing me our book, okay, the second one. He's circling the beginning of the book. He's saying people forget that part. Exactly. So, and he is saying the words, the light within me is the light within you. okay? And that's the most important part, okay? And then that opens the door for everything to manifest, okay? So humanity realizing that the light, and because you're talking about you asked about the 4 phases of extraterrestrial disclosure, okay? So in what phase are we in? So for that, see, because the light, he's speaking from his perspective, of course, the light within him is also the light within us, and that's the understanding that humanity, see, coming back to the heart, then that opens the door for ET disclosure. Okay? So they're not interested in playing ego games with us or playing a savior figure or completing our lack. So that's how I came to write the second book also, because Valak says tell the whole truth. I will tell I'll tell the whole truth. You're okay, let me get a drink before I tell the whole truth. Um so I had contact, well, I have always been in contact with Valak, okay? So we've never been apart, not now, and we won't be, never in the span of the history of all eternity have he and I ever been apart, okay? So we are non-physical beings, okay? So the perception that you're separated from anything comes from the physical, the identification with the body and this physical reality, okay? So we have never been separate, but there's no but to it. So I was, yeah, we were communicating, hanging out, being friends, of course. And he, see, it was around the time of COVID, okay, and I really wanted to share from the extraterrestrial perspective, okay? What I knew about extraterrestrials, what I knew about what was going on. And I was working in ICU in the hospital during COVID and watching all these people die and watching the doctors, prescribe medications, not prescribe medications, and then having a lot of my patients pass away. And I was talking to Valnek about it, and I was like, what is this all about? And he was like, it's about vaccinating people. And I was like, you're what? I was like, you're crazy. And I really wanted to share what I knew, okay? And his suggestion that I share was actually, how do I word this? Not reveal that he was a pilot that worked for the Federation. He said that probably isn't the best way to go about it. And that's not necessary to share because it really doesn't matter, right? So because he's sharing as himself, I'm sharing as myself, what you do for a living, nurse, whatever, commander, whoever, it doesn't really matter exactly, right? So I am who I am, he is who he is. So that wasn't really necessary to share, okay? But I said, I want to do it my way. He said, I want to do it my way. And so we butted heads. Well, I wouldn't even say we butted heads, but it was important. He understood it was important to me. I didn't understand why he suggested to do it that way, and why it wasn't maybe in the best and highest good at the time. Okay, everything is divine. Okay, so it doesn't. Yeah, everything is divine. So because it was really important for me to share from that perspective, part of my awakening and realizing who I am. So he understood that. So he said, I support you. And then birthed the books, Welcome to the Future, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Okay. And then after the release of the first book, though, I realized why he recommended to not to, yeah, to share in a different way. So, and it's because and why it was important for me to have that experience, because, and it was about what I just shared, because I didn't realize that people perceived extraterrestrial, it's in the subconscious. So I didn't realize, how do I say this? I'm trying to find the right words. The UFO community, how it felt, what I realized when I published the first book was that people believe in aliens, okay, but it's from the mind. So, and they're not really sure about it, which is what creates all of the fanfare, the Hollywood aspect, and then all of a sudden you're a contactee, and that means, what that means basically, it's like a religious thing, because it's in the subconscious. People have not, humanity had not has not addressed the subconscious, most of humanity, okay? That basically a contactee is someone who is chosen by extraterrestrials, is better than others in a way, and then you're have to play a role, basically the chosen one, to all of the not as good people, or the people who aren't connected, which is not true, okay, to the community, okay? And then I was like, oh my God, that's when and then it also, because of the way, see, the Federation is a military, then it puts you in a position to be attacked by their opponent, okay? And then I realized what was going on. See, because when I released the first book, all of these people started making videos on the internet canceling me, and don't listen to Megan, she's possessed, she's evil. They're hearing voices in their head saying that I'm this, I'm that, and that's the key, is those are voices, thoughts going on in their head, okay? So, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I realized that was another time where I realized Valnek was right. Okay, there's a few times where I was like, wow, he's such a nut job, but he was right. And then it was important to me to share in a different way, okay? And that's why I wrote the second book, to share from that perspective, okay? That we are equals, okay? Valnek and friends and me are equals, and that the light within us is also the light within you, and change things. And that's where I was not interested. So some may say, have asked why, I don't go on people's channels or do interviews. And it's not that I don't, but at that time I had to step away from all of it because I was not interested in being the chosen one. Okay. So anyone who ever wanted to be an ambassador or an emissary or a contactee, I was not in competition with them because I never wanted it. I felt it and I saw it for what it was. And it's not love. People trying to live vicariously through you and find their way home through you, and then you agreeing to it, that's actually hell on earth. Okay, so then so that's how I got and wrote the second book, and I basically said that I want to get out of this or evolve out of this, okay? And that's where we kind of wrapped it up and talked about the 4 phases of extraterrestrial disclosure. So, and that, for that to happen, okay, the irony in this whole situation is that the UFO community has to completely dissolve and be obsolete, because it's based off of will not dissolve in a way. Okay, I'll use the word evolve out of it, and then by when you come out of the ego, okay, the identification with the body becomes less and less, well, not important at all. And so therefore there are no extraterrestrials anymore. There's, you come from the understanding that we are all from the same source. So therefore there is no UFO community anymore deciding these are the grays, the reptilians, blah blah blah. It becomes obsolete. Okay, which is ironic, right? Because the whole community is about disclosure, but it's about people finding their way home, okay, finding their way back to themselves, and that's really what it's about. So anyways, Alex says it's a good story. Yeah, it was. He says I like being right. Yeah, that was a big time that he, right and wrong, I would say, well, he was coming from the heart, okay? So and assisting me. So the same thing with Ruffin as is um but anyways, so the 4 phases of extraterrestrial disclosure. So if I remember correctly, Valnek says that we're the second phase, so I don't even have to remember. So the first phase was Star Trek and basically introducing the idea into mass consciousness, okay? And then there's the second phase, which I have to have the book on me. I don't remember what it is because for me it doesn't matter because it doesn't change who I am. Okay, so Heather says that was a crazy time. They all went left field on you. It was interesting, and also I realized, just because what was interesting about being canceled in that way is it wasn't based on anything in this reality at all. It wasn't based on anything real at all, actually. It was based on someone had telepathic conversations in their head, and then someone else said, oh yeah, I got the same message. And was it really from the Galactic Federation, Valnek, or Thorhan, or any being that is there to assist humanity? Why would that be from a being that is there to assist humanity? So why would a being give that message? It's really interesting, right? So, and that's when I realized that, yeah, humanity is not on most. See, I always felt like a fish out of water because I was coming from a different level of consciousness, okay? More expanded state of awareness. Not worse, not better, or it's just a different state of awareness. So when I was aware that, I mean, just because you hear a voice in your head doesn't mean that you follow it or accept it as your own blindly. Because I was always psychic, telepathic, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so, and for some who are not used to that, hearing a voice in their head, they take it very seriously. Okay, so anyways, it was very interesting how thousands of people followed these dear ones. Okay, and basically it was I'm trying to find the right words. Yeah, basically just bought into it hook, line, and sinker without ever checking in with themselves. Okay, and that's where we get into the lower level of consciousness, religion, and cults, and just basically wash, rinse, repeat, believing whatever is told to you. So and that's where I was like, what in the fuck did I get into, right? So I oh my gosh, I look back on that now, and it was but I don't regret it at all. It's funny. It's very funny to me. And then people saying you're not in contact with the real Valnek. How do you know who the real Valnek is? Because no one's ever seen these beings. So it was very So, and actually, see, the thing is, you'll always perceive someone to be different than what they are. See, if you don't see yourself clearly, then how could you see another being clearly? And that goes the same for contact with extraterrestrials, telepathic contact, or contact with anyone in this realm, right? You're only seeing it through, well, with your blinders on until you decide to see it from your eyes. Okay. And I know that, yeah, my entourage, they are always cheering me on. Even those that are the naysayers, or um, those who canceled me, don't listen to Megan, she sucks. They in their hearts don't feel that way at all. They are cheering me on, and they're asking me to stand in my truth because it gives them an opportunity to open up as well, you know? And I am the villain in their story, which I'm okay with because I know who I actually enjoy it. I know who I am. I am the villain in their story, not because I went against their hearts or their higher levels, but because I went against their egos, which is exactly what I intended to do in the first place. When I wrote the book and when I began to share on the internet, it just, when it actually happens, you're like, oh, I didn't realize I really take that seriously. Um, uh, anyways, Marcia says, Heather says that was a crazy time. Robert says you opened Pandora's box. Robert says the second phase of disclosure involves your military of the entirety of Terra. Yes. So part of it has to do with the military all being on the same page of every country. You sharing it has helped me more than words could express to become aware of coming back to the heart. Thanks, Brenda. Megan says it has been such a journey and evolution for you and us. I'm glad you put yourself there as hard as some of those times have been. Robert says you are a great villain. Marcia says, I find it interesting how your following dropped once you started focusing on the truth of opening the heart as opposed to presenting the glam of the Galactic Federation and ET contact. Yeah, because it's, yeah, exactly. Because most are looking for something outside of them to basically solve their issues, right? So that's where Valnek and I have done lives where he was joking about the religion of the Galactic Federation, because that's in a way what humanity has made it into, okay? It's a subconscious thing. People don't realize they're doing it, that the Galactic Federation is going to fix everything, right? And then or the aliens are going to fix everything. And it's actually opening up where the ones who are here, okay? And so we're also responsible for changing the planet ourselves. That makes sense, doesn't it? Jean says, how does the SSP MK Ultra people fit in this narrative? Many are mind erased by these groups and their memories are now awakened, and they are attacked by Cabal here on Terra and above. Let me get a drink. So the thing, yeah, so I'm just tuning into the question because it's so the mind, okay? And this is when you start to present, see, there's always solutions for this kind of stuff, okay? So, and why wouldn't there be? Because we are the creators, okay? So someone can only perceptively have control over your mind if you believe that they can, okay? So, and if you And someone can only control you via your mind if you believe that you are the mind. Okay? If we see, that's the beautiful thing. The more people come back to the heart, if there's someone who wants to open up where their mind has been, well, everyone's mind has been programmed actually on planet Earth. Everybody's. Okay? Watch, rinse, repeat, mass consciousness, all of this stuff in the subconscious. So that's what we're doing. We're taking all those blinders off and those programs out. Okay? And how we do that is by asking questions. That's why I ask you guys questions, to inspire critical thinking and to ask yourselves, is this in my heart how I feel? Okay, so and it is the same MK Ultra, the SSP stuff. So if there's something in the subconscious, it's just like we do in the Q&As, okay, where we can connect with that dear one, the love that they are. And it's just, see, everything is consciousness, everything is energy. Okay? So when you bring in your higher levels and take command of your mind and stop buying into everything outside of you and put all of those ideas, thoughts, beliefs outside of you, okay, then they have no effect on you. So there's no there's no need for the Galactic Federation to fix it. Actually, they cannot, because, well, I'll take that back. They can assist if you want to be assisted, okay? If you're ready to come out of it. But if you want to continue to do what you're doing and continue to buy into it, then there's nothing that they can do, because you're wanting to continue to go down that path. Does that make sense? So, their minds are erased by these groups and their memories are now awakened, and they are attacked by Cabal here on Terra and above. So, yeah, the space program, the secret space program, those are also dear ones trying to find their way home. Okay? So it's really the same applies, and the perception, it's not that it's not the truth, okay, that the Cabal attacks those people or targets certain people, or you can't be gang stalked, okay? I've experienced that myself, okay? It's just that it will continue to happen for as long as you buy into it. It's an energy game, okay? As soon as you step into your power, see, they're little children wanting to play a game, and if you don't play the game, what do the children do? They go find someone else to play with. Does that make sense? So as long as there's a victim complex where the Cabal's attacking me, my life is so hard, blah, 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 it's their higher levels have chosen that experience so that they can evolve and that they can stand in their power, come back to the heart and say, enough is enough. Okay? So it's the same. These are different. These experiences, it's different costumes, it's different words we're using for stuff, okay? But when I tune into it, the heart of it, or the root of it, is the same, where it's playing energy games, the energy game of a cat and mouse, predator versus prey. And why would you need to play, and why would you want to play any of those games when you are the creator, when you are eternal? Okay, and you know nothing but nothing can harm you. And the minds can only be programmed if you buy into it. Okay, and then of course, if you decide, yeah, this is not serving me, this isn't me, then poof. It sounds way more simple. Okay, it is that simple. Okay, it's the ego that makes it complicated. So those dear ones, there are many, many, many people who tune in to the contactees and that whole movement because they themselves have been abducted, okay? They've had experience with extraterrestrials that they're not really sure about, they're not really clear about, And that's why it's such a big thing in that community to decide who's real or fake, because those watching are not really sure what's real for themselves, and then they project it onto others. And what I didn't realize is that even those sharing that have big channels, they're actually not really sure of who they are and what's real or fake, and they also project it onto other contactees or content creators or people who are sharing their experiences. Okay. So it's just, there is, why, yeah, this is another question. Why would you, because I've tuned into that too, and there's people, that's why Valnik said keep hope, okay? Because there's so many who believe I was in the SSP, I was abducted, I'm in pain, I'm traumatized, and there is no hope for me. My best bet is that something outside of me is going to come and save me, okay? I've been there too, okay? And but it's not the truth. Why would the creator create an experience for itself to trap itself? And yeah, we wouldn't, right? So so there's always, it's actually the opposite. You create the experience to not to trap yourself, but to find your way home, which is an awesome thing. So Marcia says, it sounds as if it can be a distraction from doing the work on ourselves. Tony says, this is good stuff. It's all finally sinking in with me as I can feel myself coming out of programming. That's why I stopped listening to everyone else. Well, yeah, and it's, see, there's, everyone has something that is beneficial. Okay, everyone is coming from their level of consciousness, they're sharing their truth. Okay, it just doesn't mean that it's the truth for everyone, right? So everyone is sharing something that's beneficial, even if it's a perceptively a lie. Okay, because, and if it wasn't beneficial, then it wouldn't be there, it wouldn't exist. So it's just really, if someone, if you feel like you're not getting anything out of listening to what others are saying, whether it's one person or 5 people, then yeah, it's, I do the same, I just tune out, you know. And it's really not to, instead of, so listening to stuff outside of you, instead of taking it as a fact or the truth, or like reading the Bible and it's your new religion, can just hear different things and then tune in with the heart and feel, does that feel like the truth, or does my heart expand? Does my body feel relaxed when I so so anywho, Lisa says, what does Valnek think of the recently announced Golden Dome? It seems cutting edge technology. Thank you. What do you think? He said, I have said this before, everything is changing. He's showing me the United States. He's showing me Donald Trump shaking hands with an ET, okay? And he says ET technology, and he's underlining it. He says we work with him. He's thinking about what to say. He's showing me different paths, okay? He says we are here to assist. We are not dictators. I'm just going to use my own words because it's easier. He's saying that they are there to assist, and they recommend situations or recommend choices to Terran leaders like Donald Trump, okay? But they, of course, cannot force them to do or operate or make choices, right? They can only say, this is my recommendation and this is why. He says, this is how we assist. He's saying, I have said this before, advanced technology, it is coming. It takes a long time to build. And he's going like this. um uh I wonder, does uh see, for himself, for Valnik, he's moved beyond the perception of war. Okay, so that was not very fun for him, and he didn't enjoy it. So he doesn't fight in combat anymore or do anything like that. So but he is there to consult, to show humanity and, yeah, the leaders that there is a different way. Okay, and where they want to play is that's their choice. So is there anything else he has to share? He says the golden age, and he's showing the words America, and he's crossing it out, and he says everyone. He says the golden age of Earth, and he's underlining it. He says it's important that everyone comes together. This is always my recommendation. We are here to support Tara, not just Donald Trump. Uh, that's all he wants to, yeah, that's his message for now. So I mean, the Golden Dome, it's a missile system, right? So it's not a trying to find the right words for it. A missile defense system. Thank you. So but see, when I tune into planet Earth, we're evolving way beyond needing to protect each other from different countries. It's actually about everyone coming together. Okay, so the whole planet. So but it's it's everyone's playing their games, everyone's playing their roles, and that's really the big picture. Okay. Let's see. Lisa says, what does the national debt mean on a spiritual level? Is the meaning different for each country? Is Nasara Jasara a more source-based system that somehow will rectify the debts? Thank you. I'm just reading the question again. I lost my train of thought. Valnik has more to say. That's why I'm distracted. So, let me just get this part up. Okay. He says I have more to say. Okay. It's about the Golden Dome. He says Megan can be impatient. uh, he's talking about the art of war. Okay, he says it's an old game, and he's showing Donald Trump again starting to, there's a choice. Okay, there's a ledge. Okay, and it shows him stepping choice to, or deciding to make the choice to. And he says, Valnik says, there's a difference between coming from the head and coming from the heart. This is what he is learning. He is having a human experience too. He is not a god. He says this is how we work with him. Just like the rest of the Terrans, we are here to assist. He says the war is over. This is my message. Okay, I felt like that was a better way than the way that I said it. Heather says, does Trump tune in like you, or does he have a translator? You know, let's tune into that question together. So let's all tune in together, because we all have the ability to. Okay, so let's bring our consciousness from in between the eyebrows down into the heart. So how does, and we can ask the question, so how does Donald Trump tune in? So implants, translators, all of that is very superficial, and it doesn't mean anything unless you you bring the thoughts and tune into them through the heart to find, that's your compass, that's where you find the truth, okay? The truth from your higher levels. So how to tune in? And I'll let you know what I get. It's actually a very simple answer. And then you guys can let me know what you get in the chat. Marcia says, I get that Melania helps him. Okay, what did everyone else get? Robert says, from the heart. Nancy says, intuition. Andrea says, love. Heather says, I just saw Trump sitting like a monk. Yeah, well, exactly. It's the same way everyone else does. Okay, so that's how he has his higher levels, his entourage. Okay, so he is not, again, it's interesting, right? Because people perceive, or there's a perception that he is a chosen one, or that he has more access to, see, having contact with an extraterrestrial in the physical, it doesn't mean that your level of consciousness would change, or that you have a stronger connection than those who don't have physical contact with an extraterrestrial, because all contact, because we're non-physical beings, okay, unless you're tuning in through who you are, which is pure light, pure love, pure energy, pure consciousness, okay, then unless you're doing it that way, then you're not tuning in at all. So you can have physical contact with anybody, right, just the bodies, but if each person is not, if each being is not in their heart, okay, who they are, who they actually are, if they're still stuck in the mind with all that programming and the filters of the ego, then you have two egos connecting, okay, whether it's physical or non-physical, or whether it's physical, I'm trying to find the right words. So physical communication doesn't necessarily mean it's better. How many people do you communicate with this in this reality, but you're not communicating heart to heart? So really there's no communication going, or not much, it's not clear communication, right? That's what I'm trying to find the words for. So even if you have physical contact with a extraterrestrial, it doesn't mean that you're connecting with them or it's a clear communication, because you're just seeing them like you see everything else through your own filters. Does that make sense? So whether it's telepathic, it's really about coming back to the heart, okay, pulling off all that programming, and then connecting heart to heart with other beings, whether it's non-physical, okay, or whether that person has a body and you can see their body, but you're still connecting on a non-physical way, because you're not a non-physical being. Pure love, pure energy, pure consciousness. Everything else is outside of you, so it's just costumes and hoopla. Does that make sense, the way that I said it? Yeah, and he's playing a role for humanity, okay? So of course he has his ego, he has his subconscious stuff, he has all his misperceptions, and that's why, so him meeting an extraterrestrial in person doesn't mean that he's more enlightened, okay, or that because it doesn't make you anything. Meeting an extraterrestrial doesn't make you more of an eternal creator. It can't make you any less. It can't make you any better. It's outside of you. It doesn't change who you are. And just meeting someone with a higher level of consciousness doesn't mean you automatically have a higher level of consciousness. Okay? You have to do your own work. You have to address your ego. And you have to walk your walk and talk your talk. They're not saviors. Does that make sense? They can't do it for you. And that's really what I realized in the UFO community and the ET community, is that the idea is that just because you meet an extraterrestrial, then all of a sudden you're enlightened. And why would that be the case? How the body, first of all, the body becomes, when you bring in your higher levels, then the body becomes lighter, but you're already the light. It's about bringing you in and coming from the heart. So how could meeting an extraterrestrial in the physical, how could that, just by doing that, how could that make you more of what you already are? And how could that, it's not possible. You still have to transcend all of your ego, your subconscious, all of that stuff. They cannot do it for you. So yeah, so he's playing a role for humanity, right? So an awesome job. But, and there's no but to it, okay? But I can't find a different word to use, okay? For myself, I'll speak for myself. What is the most fun is not putting on a costume, not playing a role for humanity, okay, but assisting humanity as the creator that I am, okay? So I would not enjoy playing politics, because it's still playing a role, okay? And when you're playing a role, you're only experiencing a small part of yourself. You're not experiencing all that you are. So when I say I want to wake up all the way, I'm here to experience and be all that I am, okay? And if the egos don't like it, oh well. I'm not running for office, and I'm not trying to be the chosen one. I am here to be who I am. I am the chosen one for myself, not for humanity. And that's the most fun for me. Okay. So sharing the love that I am with others, pure love, pure energy, pure consciousness, with no agenda. And Valnik is here to do the same. Okay. And so that's why we shifted out of the UFO community, because we want to share the love that we are with others and not play roles for humanity, or be someone basically that we're not. Does that make sense? So I can see the fireworks. Found like showing fireworks. He says we love to have fun. That is so true. So Robert says, is there ever a point where two light partners merge into one? Yes. So for that to happen, both beings, you can marry your higher levels, okay? So both beings are whole and complete within themselves. So not a twin flame thing where each partner is filling what the other lacks. Okay, that's coming from a place of lack, which is coming from the ego. Okay, so why would the creator lack anything? You are the creator. So each being, that part of our book, right? So each being is whole, healthy, whole, and complete within themselves. And then, yeah, you can marry your higher levels. And that's really, so when you walk through life, it's not about, what it is you're finding out what you enjoy. So if you enjoy something, and you can add it to yourself, okay? It doesn't take away from you. You can add it. If you enjoy another being, then you can marry your higher levels together, and it's not taking away anything. It's not making you anything or building you up. It's just magnifying the love that you are. So yes, that there is, and it is, well, I know it is very fun. Um, so awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I think, well, that's an awesome place to end. And we love you guys so much. We'll be back with more videos. Bye now.